What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GSD Show. I'm your host, Mike Arce. Today I'm here with the CEO of Gym Launch, Cale Owen. Cale, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
I was just on yours.
Yes, you were, and it was awesome.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
3 weeks ago, whatever it was, and we did have a really good conversation.
It's awesome.
I worked out with you maybe like a year or two ago.
Yep.
And that was like the first time you and I really talked.
Yeah.
I liked you then. So
Yeah.
when you asked me to have a conversation with you on the podcast, I was down. It was an even better conversation than in the gym.
It was good.
Probably because Alex was making us work out so
Well, yeah,
hard we couldn't really have a conversation.
It's hard to breathe when you're doing 7 sets of calves.
Yeah.
So.
I think it was like 7 sets of calves, legit, and like triceps.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, it was a great conversation, and it was with, who else was it on your team that we had on there?
Oh, man. I don't even remember.
Remember.
On a podcast, we had Dave.
It was Dave.
Yeah, he's our director of client coaching.
Yeah, so then now you're here. You're here for, we had a board meeting for Gym Launch yesterday, so you had a bunch of your team here. And while we're in town, just come on in and let's film.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked.
So I want to know about a couple things. Number one, I definitely want to talk about the challenges in the industry, because you and I, we deal with a lot of the same stuff. We work with the same people in a lot of ways. A lot of people see us as competitors, but at the end of the day, like, we've learned from each other.
Exactly.
We're here to help the same people. So everybody knows the way I look at it is, growing up, if I like Super Mario Brothers and I found out you like Super Mario Brothers, we just became friends.
Exactly.
So in this game, you like helping gym owners and fitness studio owners. I like helping gym owners and fitness studio owners. Therefore, like, how could we be not friends?
Exactly.
So I want to talk about the challenges in the industries. I also want to talk about, you have a great working relationship with your spouse.
I do.
And Alex and Leila did too. So obviously it can be done. But I want to talk to you about how you do it with Maggie.
Yeah,
because you guys work really close together considering your roles. And then we'll just kind of spin from there.
Let's have some fun.
Sounds good?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, perfect. So you started with Gym Launch. Talk to me the story of how you got to Gym Launch in the first place. And then we'll dive into like what you're noticing in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. So I own 2 gyms, but I'll start at the second gym because I won't go all the way back. So the second gym that I owned, I was in it, and I was kind of one of those general, typical entrepreneurs where I see a squirrel, I get distracted by a squirrel, I see a shiny object, I want to go try a bunch of different things. And my gym at the time was not growing to the level that I wanted it to. So then I was like, hey, this online thing looks really cool. Let me try online. And so I joined this mastermind to go online while I still had my gym. I'd never heard of Alex and Leila. And I join it, I start growing it online, but then I take a step back and I realize, hey, I've got 3 to 4 more years left on my lease. Like, I started this gym, I've made commitments to individuals like my partners and other individuals to grow this thing. Like, I need to do this. I want to be a part of the community. I want to make an impact in my community. And while the money was cool, at the same time, it's like, hey, I'm serving 2 masters right now. Well, this became very apparent when one of the days Alex Hormozy comes on as a guest in this mastermind and starts speaking about sales. And the moment he opened his mouth, I was like, this guy gets it.
Was this Inner Circle?
This was, I can't remember what it was called. It was Lynn's.
Okay, Lynn's Mastermind.
Yep, Lynn's Mastermind, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was great. I mean, I learned a lot from that, and then he brought him on to talk about sales, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm a gym owner. I've got a brick and mortar facility. This guy knows what's up. So then I started following them on Facebook and seeing what they were doing, and I was very intrigued. Opted in, made them work because I wanted to test and see if they would follow up, and they did. And within a week, I signed up. And at the time, literally about 2 weeks before that, I was in a position where I wasn't making the money that I needed to and I wanted to. And my wife is pregnant with our second kid. I've got a 2-year-old at home, and my wife is bartending pregnant to help pay bills. And I went and I was like, this is not going to work. So I sucked up my pride and ego and just pushed it to the side. And I went and got a job with a local digital marketing agency to sell. And I was like, I got to put food on the table, and I got to be able to do this. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to sit here and just try to make something happen that's not. So anyways, fast forward to this, 3 weeks later, I signed up with Gym Launch, and I pay him $1,000, and I'm like, man, at the time, this is a lot of money. And I joined. 10 days later, we made $38,000. And 8 months after that, I was out of my gym completely. We had scaled it from literally like 33 members to over 250. It was a large group training facility, so not a big box or health club. And my wife and I were out of the gym. We didn't have to worry about it. We had operators, everyone doing it, and we had just followed the system. And at the time, you know, I was like, man, this would be really cool to work with Alex and Leila at some point. So one day, Alex throws up this message or this post on Facebook talking about looking for salespeople. And I was like, just jokingly reached out to him and I said, hey, send me your deck that you sell with and I'll just do it for free. Like, I don't even care. And he's like, are you serious about this? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. He's like, I want full-time people. Will you come on full-time? And I was like, well, it depends on the pay. And he's like, well, here's what the OTE, the on-target earnings is. And I said, cool, I'll do it. And so he's like, well, you have to interview because I can't just give you the job. And I was like, totally fine. Like, I want to make sure I interview, go through the entire process, and it's above board. So I went through the interview process, got hired, and then became one of the, within a month, above average, not the top seller, but close to the top seller, doing that. And then I was on the sales team for about 3 months, and then they somehow figured out, like, hey, we think you could be a sales manager, which I was not ready, and became a sales manager. And then through that.
Why do you believe you were not ready?
I did not understand what it takes to be a successful sales manager. And so at the time, I was unwilling to do what I call the brilliant work. So in Gym Launcher, Alex, you can hear this across, or it's like the boring work that needs to be done every day. It's the little things that stack up and add up to make major impacts. I call it the brilliant work because it creates brilliant results if you do that consistently. And I was, at the time, I didn't know what type of brilliant work and the volume it takes to be successful as a sales manager. Because a sales manager compared to an individual contributor is so different. You are a coach. And like what your day should be spent doing is listening to recordings, or if you're in person, watching them and like reviewing what's going on, practicing, getting them to say their scripts out loud, motivating them, increasing conviction, doing all of these things that at the time, I'm very much a, hey, here's the next step, do it. Here's the next step, do it. So for me, logically, here's a script, say the words, sell. Not everyone's like that.
Right.
People need to be inspired. They need to be reminded consistently. And frankly, that's not how my brain is wired. And so as a sales manager, I had to learn quickly how to do that. And I'll be frank, I was not a great sales manager at all. Like I struggled. I didn't provide my team with the support looking back that I should have, but it was a great learning experience. I learned a lot. And then I moved over to coaching manager probably about a year after joining the team. So a year later, I switched over to coaching manager. We were building out a coaching program, so we hired 30 coaches, and we built all the systems out and processes. And so moving from acquisition side to the service side was really cool to learn the back end and understand those pieces. And then from there, about, I would say 8 months later, moved into the general manager role and was there for about 2 years. And then back in December, Christmas Eve, little Christmas present, got promoted to CEO.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
So talk to me about, obviously you've now seen the front end, you've seen the back end. You know why gym owners come to you.
Yeah.
And I know why gym owners come to us. And then we know what we actually have to help them with.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your perspective. When they come to you, what do they say they need? And what do you know they need, and what do you really have to help them with?
Yeah, it's interesting. They say that they want more leads.
Everyone
just wants that, right? Or more members, right? So what's interesting is the mindset I think that a lot of gym owners have is that when they say leads, what they actually mean are paying clients.
Right.
But they're not, so we teach the 5 core functions of business, right? So lead generation, lead nurture, sales, fulfillment, and then retention/ascension. And each one in and of itself is slightly different. What happens, in my opinion, is individuals, gym owners, and business owners, period, they say leads, which would be lead generation, which is function number 1. When they say that, they believe it's actually sales. And there's a big difference, and we know this, right? There's a lot of systems and processes and a lot of work that has to go in, training, time, all these things that have to happen before someone goes from a lead to a sale.
Right. What they really mean is they want a hot lead that's ready to buy.
They want the perfect client to walk in. The problem is you don't have perfect clients come in, you make your perfect client.
Right.
And that's the difference.
100%.
And the problem, it makes gym owners uncomfortable because they have to learn this thing that they've been told all their life is dirty and disgusting and scary, and that's sales. But sales is simply the ability to change someone's, really just influence someone to do something. Now you can use sales in a bad way, but gym owners are using it in a good way. Their goal is to extend the lifespan of someone, change their life, improve it. And so sales in that usage is exactly what you should be doing. Like, it is your responsibility as a gym owner to do that, because fitness, to be frank, you know this, you sold fitness, I sold fitness. It's one of the hardest sales in the world. Like, if you're good at fitness sales, you can sell anything.
Because you're literally selling what they don't want.
Exactly. you're selling them what they don't want. They want the end result, but they definitely don't want to do the work.
That's why it's easier to sell food.
Yes, sell products, sell
They
food.
ignore the result. They just want want the product. I know this burger is going to make me fat.
Yeah.
But I want the burger.
I want the immediate result and the taste that I'm going to get and the chemical reaction and the dopamine hit or whatever it is that I get from that.
Right.
And so I think at the end of the day, gym owners, what they need to understand is obviously, yes, they need all those components in their business, but they need to understand that there are specific aspects that they have to focus on and not try to do everything. Mm-hmm. And this is the biggest piece. And we get individuals that are come in that are one man, one woman shows, and they are doing all of these things, these activities that don't have a return on their investment. And what they could be doing, if they just stopped doing 20 hours of low to zero ROI activities and spent those 20 hours actually working on getting more leads or actually nurturing those leads or actually getting better at sales,
Right.
the ROI on that time would be exponential.
Right.
They would never have a problem. Like if you literally just spend an hour a day getting better, acquiring a new skill set. So if you know nothing about ads, like if you're listening to this or watching this and you're a gym owner and you know nothing about ads, there's YouTube videos that you watch all day to teach you about ads.
Right.
You can spend an hour a day, do that for 6 months, and you're gonna know inside and out exactly. You don't even need 6 months. It's super easy to run ads.
It's more reps.
That's it.
So it depends on how many reps you're going to do in a day. You can get 6 months worth of work done in the next week and a half if you really want to.
That's it. And like, then, okay, cool. So I figured that out. Now what's the next thing I need to do, right? I need to learn how to build either funnels or I need to learn how to lead nurture. Like how many times should I call someone? When should I call them? Should I text them? Should I send them memes? Like, is that cool? Like, can I send voice messages? What about video text messages? Like, should I text them or call them 3 times a day, once a day? Like all those things. And granted, we paid the ignorance tax. Your team here has paid the ignorance tax, which is why people come to us for coaching, so that we can create and just hand them the plan is just follow this plan. And if you follow this plan, you're going to be successful.
100%. One of the things that you said that was interesting, you were talking about like the cycles, right? So you got the people that are working on things that if they just spent those 20 hours working on something else, it'd be better. How many times have you gotten the question, how do you overcome this objection? How do you overcome that objection?
All the time.
But they don't have a sales process. How much less objections would somebody have if they had a real dialed in sales process?
It would cut down by literally a minimum. It would cut down by 50 to 60%.
Easily.
Just by choreographing the process.
Right.
That's it.
Choreographing it, intentionally doing everything a certain way.
That's it.
But they're wanting to figure out like, how do I, when my broken system fails, how do I fix it?
Yeah.
As opposed to how do I fix my broken system so it fails significantly less often?
Correct.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's fascinating.
What other things do you see business owners spending time on that you feel isn't moving the needle as much, that they can take that time and put it towards others?
Most, and I'm speaking directly to the gym owners that are primarily our avatar, and that is gym owners that want to increase their revenue. They're struggling, but really at the end of the day, when they say revenue, they want to have a greater impact on people. They want to change more lives. And so I know that. I was a gym owner. That's why I started a gym. Like I wanted to change more lives. The biggest piece that they don't do is they don't focus on revenue generating activities. They focus more on the retention, and they feel like if my programming is great, cool, this is going to be awesome. Or if my training is fantastic, the word will spread. It's the whole mentality of if I build it, they will come. That is a lie. That's the biggest lie that's anyone could ever tell you. And it's like, hey, you need to, if you just build it and you put your spot on a retail space and people walk by, they're going to love you and they're going to want to sign up.
Right.
It doesn't happen. And unfortunately, what sucks is that these gym owners are sold this lie, or business owners are sold this lie, and they believe it, and then when they get into it, there's this massive letdown of like, oh shoot, this is a lot harder than I thought. Like, I really don't actually know how to run a business. I just know how to train people. And I know how to train maybe 50 people, but I don't know how to get results for 150 people or 200, because I don't know how to scale the operations, right? How many times have you had a conversation with a gym owner where they're like, yeah, my churn is really low, I don't have churn?
Well, you have 80 clients.
Exactly.
You have 80 clients. It's
I could text 80 people a week. Like, I'm cool, I could check in with you. But what happens when you have 200?
Very different.
Right?
And here's the worst part. If you have, let's say, if you go from 80 clients to 800 clients, right, or members, a 4% churn is impressive.
Massive, yeah, it's huge.
5% churn is great. But if you have 800 clients, a 5% churn means you need to get 40 new sales just to keep where you were.
Just to stay where you're at.
Because you're losing 40.
So it doesn't matter. Sales has to happen, period.
100%.
And this is what we try to, we work really hard on this, and you do as well. I know this because like, at the end of the day, churn is going to be a thing. You will never have a business with 0% churn. Like, you're just not in the gym industry, at least, because people move, people stop, they get injured.
They get doctor orders.
That's it. Like, all these things that are outside of your control. So the goal is, and maybe this is a better way to put it for gym owners and business owners, they focus on things that are outside of their control rather than focusing on the things that is in their control that they can improve and stack the skills that will ultimately create more revenue and make a bigger impact.
Right, and gives you a competitive advantage.
100%.
You know, a lot of people are wanting to change their workouts to give themselves that competitive advantage.
Yeah.
You know, if we could do this, if we can use monitors too, and if we could do that, if we could do this. But the truth is, like, what do your competitors really suck at? They suck at the sales part.
Yep, that's it.
I've met enough gym owners to know that like 4%, 5% of them ever come to us already knowing what to do on the sales side. Yeah, so it's really bad.
That. It's probably less than that for us.
It is probably less than that.
Yeah.
It is probably less than that. And so when you think about that, that means there's a good chance that every gym that you're competing with in your market is probably pretty poor at sales.
Yeah.
So you want a competitive advantage, be the only one that can sell.
And there's a difference. Let's talk about sales real quick on this side. When gym owners talk about sales, and I was this way, right? But thankfully, I sold higher ticket before I joined Gym Launch. When gym owners say I'm good at sales, because every gym owner will say I'm good at sales. If I can get them in front of me, I'm going to close them.
If I can get it, because they're talking about what lead source.
Yes, but the other, a referral, so which is like, cool.
Of course.
My grandmother could close a referral.
If you got 9 out of 10 closed, I'm wondering how you lost one.
It's like, oh, cool, so your friend works out here? Awesome, sign this.
Right.
Like, that's closing a referral. But the other piece, too, is that there are also many gym owners are not creating the cash flow that they need in the acquisition to offset the cost of acquiring that client right away. And so what happens is they're selling free months, free trials, all these things, or just straight into EFT. And while if you're at a point where your revenue, right, is exceeding your expenses every month and your monthly recurring revenue is at a good spot, cool, you can do that. But if you're in a growth stage and you're not making money, like, you need cash right away. And so that requires you to charge a higher price up front, which also has a really cool effect that when people pay, they pay attention. And if you can get someone to put down $500, $600, $1,000, $2,000 down to start at your facility, what do you think is going to probably happen with that client?
They take it more seriously.
Way more seriously.
And here's the thing too, they have to justify to their friends why they spend so much money.
Yes.
Which means they're even more convicted themselves.
Exactly. Which means what happens? They get better results, which means you get a testimonial, which means now you get to just continue to stack these, which means now you've got a raving fan because you changed their life. Yeah. Simply by charging a higher price.
Right. By charging a higher price and selling more to them at the door. Yeah. The best time to sell something is at the point of sale.
Immediately.
Always. And you know, when we talk about this as well, and I know you guys do too, when the average person joins a gym, as soon as they leave the gym, if they were just sold the membership, as soon as they leave the gym, they're going to buy things to support their new gym membership.
Yes.
They're going to go get supplements.
Yep.
They're going to go get new clothes. They're going to get sneakers. They may even go grocery shopping and get some like new healthy like food to make sure they get the most out of this. And the gym owner's got supplements sitting right there.
Yep.
And they've got apparel sitting right there. And they walk out the door with just a membership, with not even a pitch.
It's so
as opposed to tying it all together where it's like, hey, here's how you're going to get the most out of it. You know, we're going to get this, we're going to get this. I know your goal was this. Also, this is, you know, specifically designed just for this. That person's, even though the gym owner believes that they're being greedy now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to keep pushing. I don't want to sell them. So you're making their life, me personally, you're making my life easier. If I joined your gym, and you said, Mike, here are the based on your goal, here are the supplements I would take, I'd be like, good, because I was about to Google it anyway.
Exactly.
Thank you for saving me the time and saving me possible mistakes.
Yeah. So there's two kind of ways to look at this, right? So I'll talk about the business model aspect and why that's important, and then we can talk about the feelings aspect of like it's actually ethically right for you. So from a business standpoint, we talk about verticals, right? And wallets, different spending wallets. And so you said it exactly right. They're going to go look for supplements. So I think back to a time when I hired my first coach for online training. And he sent me the program and all this stuff, and he sent me a list of supplements I needed to buy. And what did I do? I went and spent $500 on supplements because I was like, this is what I need to do. I'm trying to be successful. This is the plan. I'm going to do it. I didn't ask questions.
Because you didn't want to not do, because you feel like that could be the missing link. If you don't get results, that's the missing link.
Exactly. And I'd been taking supplements forever anyway, but he was like, you need these are the ones I want you to take. And I was like, cool. And I still do this. If my coach is like, hey, I actually want to add this into your regimen, cool, I'm going to add that into my regimen because I understand the importance of that and how it works across the entire plan. Right. And so with these different spending wallets, you mentioned you got supplements, so you got products, right? So they're going to go and spend, and by the way, for anyone listening or watching, supplement products are the easiest thing to sell. Like, you know this, I know this. Like,
because that is an instant result.
It's it. And they can feel it. It's tangible.
Right.
And so you're handing it across the table to them or across the counter or right next to you. Like, they're feeling it. They're walking out the door with something tangible.
That they can take today.
Exactly. And they immediately start to see it, and it's like, cool. So you get immediate buy-in right there, which is huge. The other piece behind it, too, is you got that, and then you got apparel, right? You mentioned apparel. And so they're going to go out and spend $150, $200, $400 at Lululemon or Athleta or somewhere else, and they're going to buy it, or they're going to go on Amazon. So it's like, what if you just said instead, cool, so we actually have different shirts for different days of training. And so like red is for Monday, blue is for Tuesday, white is for Wednesday, and then we got black for Thursday or whatever, right? And it's like, cool, so do you want red, white, do you want all of them, or do you just want to start with red and white?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, or you could be like, cool, so you're going to come in Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This is your schedule. So cool, let's go ahead and start with that. Do you want to add Saturday's color, which is purple? You want to just add that and start with that? And so just the assumed sale, right? And
I like that idea.
Yeah, so it's just simple. Yeah. And so that, and then you've got other things like meals and anything else along those lines. And the thing is, and I'm not sure that this blew my mind when I first started with Gym Launch, is that you can dip into those verticals. And on the ethical side, doesn't it make more sense if you're a gym owner and you're the one that is, and I'm using this loosely, prescribing the workouts to them, right? You're not a doctor, but if you're the one that is telling them what they should be doing from a fitness standpoint, and if you're also helping them with nutrition, you're seeing the entire picture of what's happening. You know their goals, you know exactly what they're trying to do, you know what problems they're facing in their life, what stressors, all of these things. Do you really want that client to go down to Joe Schmo at GNC
and get who God knows what?
Yeah, doesn't fit their goal, and they then go spend $500, or they go into Amazon and they just start Googling stuff?
Well, and the guys at GNC don't know anything about
nothing.
Have you ever bought something at GNC?
Yes.
And asked them a question like,
dude,
hey, do you guys have any type of like if you ask them BCAAs, a lot of times they're like, what's a BCAA? And you're like, what? You're selling this.
Yes, they have no idea. No idea.
It's pretty crazy.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
Right? So ethically as a gym owner, like, do you want that? Like, do you really want that? And the other piece is like on the apparel side, it's like, do you want them repping something that's not your gym? Because think about, there's also a status piece and like this whole part of being a part of a community and a tribe. And when they're wearing that, there's a sense of pride as they're doing that. And then when their friends see it, or they're like, oh, you go to that gym? That's really cool, right? And they start to see the changes, and it just becomes a part of the community. So when they show up and everyone else is wearing a red shirt on Monday and they're wearing a red shirt, now they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Right.
You feel it. Yeah, you feel it and you enjoy it.
You're wearing the jersey.
Yeah. So there's those pieces of like, if you're a business owner and you're not dipping into the different verticals and wallets, spending wallets, you're losing out on massive amounts of revenue. And on the ethical side, like, you should be doing these things.
Right.
Because you would do them much better and improve the entire process for your clients and get them better results if it came from you.
See, and this is an example, right? So I think everyone listening right now is probably going like, shit, that's probably should get that down.
Yeah.
but we do get a large question. How do you overcome, I need to talk to my spouse? And it's like, man, that's a wrong thing to focus on right now.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you focused on, how do I sell these things better?
Yes.
How do I work this into my pitch? How do I give the tour right so that while I'm giving the tour, I'm closing them half before they even take the class.
Yes.
They're already like, how do I not work out here? Because the cool thing is, what I talk about too is, if you could sell them during the tour before they even take the class, they see the class different. The class, it's kind of like if I told you, like, let's say I know food.
Yeah.
And you know that I know Italian food specifically.
Which you do.
And I do. And I say, Cale, you got to go to this restaurant. It is the best Italian food you're ever going to have. Literally, it is authentic. It's the only real Italian food I had.
As soon as you tell me you need to go there, I'm going.
Yeah. Now, here's the best part. When you take a bite, do you taste real Italian food?
Oh,
100%.
Absolutely.
Right? If I tell you a movie, dude, it's really not that funny. Honestly, the jokes are lame. It's like they overact. When you watch that movie, you're seeing overacting. You're seeing it lame.
Yep.
If you can get them, if you can explain the benefits of your workout in such a great way through the tour, the benefits of the structure of your methodology is so great. When they take the workout, they feel that workout differently.
Absolutely.
They're like, oh, I could see this. I've never felt this before. And that's simple. And they might never have felt that before, but they're aware of it because they were already sold that before they even touched it.
They went from a tire kicker and a tester and someone dipping their toe in the water to a committed individual who
100%.
sees that this is the path to success and this will get me to my goals.
100%.
And that's a massive mind shift.
You know, it's funny when people say that we don't want tire kickers. It's like, dude, just get them in the door.
That's it.
Just make them a non-tire. Let them kick your tires. Maybe your tires are good.
That goes back to you make your perfect client.
Right.
They don't, this is, oh man, if I could get anyone to understand this, is like, how many times have you heard, oh, I'm not getting quality leads?
I can't understand it.
The leads suck, right?
Well, we
like,
don't use the word quality for leads here.
Yeah, it does, because every lead is high quality.
Everybody wants to be in better shape.
Yes.
Who doesn't? Who wouldn't take better right now? Alex would take better right now.
Everyone.
And that guy is freaking, I don't even understand his body. He looks like
Yeah.
chiseled.
Insane.
Whatever. But the point is, he would take better.
He's a Persian god.
Everyone
Can't
knows
say
it.
Greek god. He's a
He's
Persian,
a Persian
yeah,
guy
there you go.
with crazy,
Yep.
with crazy wife beaters.
Oh, yeah.
We're having dinner next week, and Leila goes, hey, what restaurant I go to? And I said, oh, Marjana, I just went to this one for her birthday.
Yeah.
And she goes, awesome. And then she messaged me back. She goes, hey, this looks like really fancy. Is Alex allowed to wear a tank top there? And I go, no, the waiters wear suits. He's like, let's do this restaurant.
That's amazing.
And we're going to a nice one too. We're going to Fleming's.
I love it. I love it.
But so now going back to quality leads, I mean, at the end of the day, what we talk about is quality is really just based around are they good or are they bad? But everybody will take better. Everybody will be in better shape if they could be. And everyone's got the money. Everyone's got the money. Now, obviously, there's some people, when I say everyone, that's a gross, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
We know that there's obviously people that don't have money. But when I say that, I mean, like, look at what people have that they spent money on, that they chose to spend money on over a membership that would have covered the cost of a membership.
They're going to spend the money anyway.
They're going to spend the money. And if you told them, how about this? I'll give me $200 and I'll put you in the best shape of your life in the next 30 days. Maybe they'll spend it. If I say, give me $280, I'll get it in the next hour. They'll find the money.
Absolutely.
So people will spend money. It's just, do they want that money in their possession more than they want it in yours in exchange for what you're going to give them? Have you sold them on, I want this more than I want this money? If the answer is no, no. But Apple's pretty good at getting them to say, you know you want this more than you want your money.
Yeah.
You want this more than you want that credit card bill.
Oh, yeah.
So what we talk about here is not quality. We talk about qualified. Qualified leads. Like, look, what's this person's goal? Do you help them to their goal? They want to be a triathlete, and you're, studio that focuses on yoga.
It's totally different. It would just be like also if you have a women's only facility and a man opts in and walks in, sorry, you're not qualified.
That's
you're
it.
a women's only facility.
It's not going to work.
So, so there's something interesting too, and if you're a gym owner and you're listening to this, hopefully this hits home for you. So 10% of people will buy anything. They'll just buy it. So like the 10% of people that walk into your door or leads, they're probably going to buy it. There's 10% typically that will just, cool, I'll sign up, right? Those are typically the referrals, the individuals that come in. Then there's 10% that frankly are just not going to. They may have opted in, they're literally just checking it out, they're doing a bunch of stuff, and they thought for 2 seconds, they're like, for literally 2 seconds, a fraction. They're sitting on the toilet and they're just like, this sounds great. And then they're like, they got off the toilet and they're like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do it. So that's 20%. So 80% of those individuals, right, have to be persuaded in some way and influenced. And so my question to gym owners all the time is, right, do you want to run a business where you only close 10% of your actual market, available market? And I don't even mean market, I mean just people that walk in the door, right? That's not a business.
People that you got to get to that first step.
Like, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck closing 10% and having a successful business.
Right.
Because churn alone, the average churn is 15%, which means you're done.
Right.
So what are you going to do to increase your skill set to influence that other 80% in the middle? And that requires you getting better at sales and influencing people so that you can ultimately do what most gym owners want to do in the first place and why they started their gym, which is change lives and impact people.
You know what the crazy thing is? They really just have to be themselves.
That's it.
Because you've worked with a trainer.
Yeah.
You've had a trainer.
Yep.
What happens when he tells you to do 15 push-ups? What do you do?
I'm like, but I'll do it.
Exactly. Now, if let's say at 13, you're kind of like copping out a little bit. What's he do?
He's going to check you.
hey,
if he's good.
get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Come on, let's go. Push, get it done.
Accountability.
He makes you do what is uncomfortable for you for your own benefit.
Yep.
He knows where you would normally say no if he wasn't there, and he stops that from happening for your own benefit. And if the product's good, it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
Imagine if they took that mentality into sales. Imagine if when this person's like,
It's a perfect mind shift. That's
yeah,
phenomenal. I love
I
that.
don't know. I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should do this. I don't know. It's a lot of money. Imagine if that person was going to go, hey, it is a lot of money for some people, but you came in here and you said you wanted specifically that. I can give you specifically that. Is it a lot of money for getting that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Not really. Well, then just do it.
That's it.
Let me take it from there.
That's it.
Give me the wheel for a change, and you just let me take you where you need to go. Fair enough? Yes? Good. Let's go.
I like the fair enough.
Yeah. Well, we both read The Wolf.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
But, you know, but it's, a coach can persuade. A coach can motivate. Why do you, a coach is worried about being salesy? Well, then take the salesman hat off and be a coach. You want to be a coach and coach him. Coach them the whole way. Don't decide who you're going to be in different parts of the process. Be coached from the moment you get them on the call. Hey, you're going to be here at 8 o'clock? Yes. 100% yes. Okay. You got to let me know if you can't make it. And let's get a credit card to hold you accountable.
The best thing I ever learned in regards to that too, so sometimes gym owners, you probably hear this too, well, oh man, I don't really know. That seems like I have to ask hard questions and I don't really know if I want to be that person. And it's like, cool. What if you simply just ask the prospect for permission to be a coach?
Right.
What if you're like, hey, Mike, is it cool if I be a coach right now?
Yeah.
I'm not your friend. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Do I have your permission to be your coach?
Right.
I've done this 1,000 times.
Yes.
Is it okay right now, this next 5 minutes that we're going to have a conversation, I'm going to be your coach?
Yes.
Cool. And then you just have permission to now tell the truth, which is all it is literally just speaking the truth into someone else's life. Because I guarantee you, like if you're the prospect, 100% of the people outside of their life are not speaking that truth into them. They're telling them, no, you're just fine the way you are. You're good. No, you don't. Why are you trying to be better? You're good. You're fine. I love you just the way you are. You're great.
Because everyone's so sensitive. People are worried about a person being insensitive.
That's it.
But as soon as you ask that question, which I like that, by the way.
Yeah, just ask
hey,
permission.
do I have permission to be your coach? Yeah.
That's it.
Even adding another one. If that means playing a little tough, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to prepare them. And then cool. Now you've prepared, you've set the expectations properly, and now you can open up that conversation. I do want to say one thing, going back to what you mentioned, is like a lot of people want that magic bullet of just, hey, here's that one little phrase. Like, how do I overcome this? What's the magic words to this? Or what's the magic button to do this? What's the magic ad, the magic headline, the magic copy? They're looking for that quick fix. And at the end of the day, you need to major in the majors and minor in the minors. And so the major things in your business are, you're gonna have to do a lot of different things, but the main things that matter the most are you getting enough leads in your business? Are you getting them to show up? And can you influence them to close them? Because if you're not generating revenue, you're done.
At the right price point.
That's it, at the right price point, exactly. Right. And if you're not doing that, there's a lot of intricacies into that, but like, if you don't at least just start, then you will never move forward, ever. And the problem with most gym owners is, and this is not, in some ways, not their fault, because they just don't know how. They simply just don't take that first step forward. So we go back to products. Like, what if you're a gym owner right now and you're watching this or listening to this, and you have products at your desk and a new member walks up? What if the next person that you ask, you're like, cool, what flavor protein do you want? What if you just said that? You want chocolate or vanilla? Personally, chocolate is my favorite. What if you did that and slid it over to them and just assume the sale?
Right.
Try it.
It works.
It absolutely
Here's the thing.
works.
Even if it doesn't work every time, the times it worked, it worked.
Do you want 100% of zero, or would you rather have 50% of $5,000
Well, because people
or $10,000?
That's the thing. People tend to focus on the things that didn't work, and so that's why. And you hear dramatization a lot. Oh, people hate when they do this. When you say people hate it, how many did it? Everybody. Like what? Like 3 people? 2 people? Yeah, like 2 or 3. Okay, come on. Like, or people don't like this. When you say people don't like this, because they'll have 1 or 2 people have it, and it was just uncomfortable for them. They never want to feel it again, so therefore they just stop doing it.
And they speak in absolutes, and it's not logical.
Exactly.
At all.
No.
It's not at all.
It never, it always. is just a horrible way to speak.
I love like when, and I know you get this, it's like Facebook doesn't work. Facebook advertising doesn't work for my gym. And it's like, cool, what have you done? Well, I boosted a couple posts. It's like, that's not Facebook advertising.
Right.
So you haven't tried it. So you don't know if it doesn't work.
Right.
And even if you did try it, what was your headline? What was your offer?
Right.
Like, you probably didn't even have a
Where
good
did
offer.
you take them to?
Yeah. What happened? Did you even follow up with them? Like maybe you did get a lot of leads, but you're like, it didn't work because you didn't convert them into sales. Well, guess what? There's a whole nother core function of a business called lead nurture and sales that have to happen in order for you to actually turn those leads that you paid good money for into revenue for your business. Like
business, there's no way you didn't notice this. Business and fitness are like the best parallels to like give analogies to. Especially for a gym owner, it's like, great example. Guy comes up to you, not in shape, no injuries, nothing wrong with him, and he just goes, yeah, I worked out, it doesn't work for me.
It's like, okay, how long did you do it? What did you do?
There's so many questions.
So many, right?
There's so many ways this guy could have messed that up. It's not like yes or no. It's not like I flipped a switch, it didn't turn on. Okay, the switch is broken. There's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
There's no other way you could have flipped that switch, right? But with this, I worked out, it didn't work.
It's always a spectrum, right? It's always on a spectrum where, I got this from a PT buddy because he blew my mind one day. We was talking about just different things in regards to the way people act. And in some ways, we can be very black and white as individuals, right? But it's always on that spectrum where it's like, cool, like it may not have worked because, number one, there's lots of questions, but maybe it didn't work because you used this. What if we tried this, which is proven to work, and this does work? And that is across everything, right? In business, fitness, whatever.
Right, 100%. With fitness and business and the parallels to it, we all want that client as a gym owner. We all want that client that puts in the work.
Because they make our job easy.
Makes our job easy.
And they make us look good. There's a status to that.
Right, 100%.
The best coaches in the world, they don't care about their top players. They help them and they make sure they have the support they need. But guess what? That's the 10% that's going to win regardless of who coached them.
Wherever they go.
It doesn't matter.
I was just telling my team, read a book by John Maxwell, and one of the phrases in there goes, it was a football coach, and he said, yeah, it's easy to look like a good coach when you got great players.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I remember Alabama's strength and conditioning coach, at one point he made this quote, and I thought this was hilarious and fascinating. He's got this raspy old voice, and he's just this guy, he's got high energy, and you can imagine Alabama football team strength and conditioning coach, like he's got to get after it, and he's working with the best athletes, collegiate athletes in the world, right? Because Alabama's an incredible program. And he said, my job is actually really fun and really easy. He's like, I get these Cadillacs that come in every single year, and all I got to do is put spinners on them. That's it, right? And you just like seeing that, and it's, for him, that's all he has to do. But for the fitness, for the gym owner, the regular gym owner, you're taking regular people, right? You're not working with athletes. It's not the sexy stuff that's really cool. But it's the stuff that actually matters.
Right.
You're changing a mom's life, a dad's life.
Right.
Right. You're impacting the entire generation around that human beings, all the different people that they touch.
And it's funny because the biggest parallel in what we do for the gym owners is what the gym owners do for their members.
Yeah.
What do the gym owners wish? They wish the clients just follow the plan.
Yeah.
What do we wish for our gym owners? Just follow the plan. What do the gym owners wish? That you just were consistent. What do we wish? That you were just consistent. What do the gym owners wish? That they stopped pointing fingers anywhere and just took accountability for anything that's not going right. What do we wish for our gym owners?
Same.
The gym owners, unintentionally, I don't think they realize they're doing it, but tend to be some of the biggest hypocrites in the world. Unintentionally. I think as soon as they're aware of it, they're like, you know what, you're right. I got to do it. Because they are pretty good at ownership once they're aware.
Absolutely.
Because they want that so bad.
I love working with gym owners. They're my favorite people.
Yeah. Because the reason you probably like working gym owners, same reason I like, is they're actually motivated.
Oh yeah.
Because they're good at motivating people.
Oh, yeah.
They're motivated, but it's just easy to get stuck in doing what you've been doing and just hoping you do that thing better.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting out of your comfort zone, like we want our clients to do at the gym. Getting out of your comfort zone and being like, look, I know you've been selling this way. I know you've been, giving tours this way. I know you haven't been selling supplements, or I know that you haven't been following this format. I know you haven't marketed outside of just Facebook ads. I know you never ask for referrals. I know you don't. I know that's not part of your daily routine.
Yep.
But what if it was?
Yeah.
What if any one of those things were firing at a 10 out of 10 level? Would it change? What if two things were? What if all of them were? Would you be, in a year from now, the same business? Would you look the same or would you look different? Well, if you look different, and you know here you look the same, why wouldn't we do the different things to get us to look different? It's not exactly the most thought-provoking thing in the world, but it does provoke from certain people because it's easy to get stuck, and our competition's not really doing that well either.
Yeah, I think back to, so this is the parallel that I have from my past, and this is what I tell gym owners. And this goes back to controlling what you control, but it also, there's an impact of this, and this is, you have to do what it takes. And I'm going to stop there, because there's lots of other things that go past that. But people, that's a very in-depth sentence right there. You have to do what it takes.
Right.
And people don't understand sometimes, they don't realize and are uncomfortable with what it actually takes. And so when I was in college, my freshman year, I was a walk-on in college playing baseball. And I didn't get a scholarship my freshman year. And I'm there, and they had a junior transfer that came in from a community college. And I'm a shortstop. I want to play shortstop. My coach told me, you'll probably be a utility guy because you're a walk-on. And I go in, cool, I got nothing to lose. I want to play. And so I went in, and I worked my ass off, right? And played lights out. And I win the starting position, right? And so freshman year, have a phenomenal year. My sophomore year, I go in, and sophomore slump, literally. Terrible. My batting average dropped almost 100 points.
Really?
Horrible. And so
Sophomore slumps, that's a thing.
yeah,
Really?
it shouldn't be, but it was. And I had no one to blame but myself. And then I go into my junior year, and I'm struggling in fall practices. I'm struggling in scrimmages. I'm not hitting the ball well. I'm getting to this point. And then I was always the person that would work really hard, and I always thought in my head that if I just work hard, I'll be successful. But there's a difference between working hard and doing what it takes to win. And that's a massive difference, because this is where we talk about ROI of activities and ROI of time, and people, gym owners, are doing what they think is working hard and doing what in their mind it takes to win. The problem is that's not what it truly takes to win. And so I'm going into this in my junior year, it finally clicked. I move on to spring. I mean, I barely hit 200 in the fall and spring and fall practices. Like, I don't even know if I'm gonna start. My coach is telling me, listen, like, I don't know where I'm gonna put you. A week before our opening series, the light bulb just clicked, and I just went from focusing on the outcomes of what was going to happen once I hit a ball, and I just started focusing on the one thing I can control, which in baseball is I need to get my hands to the baseball, I need to get the bat to the ball consistently and effectively as much as I possibly can. And it doesn't matter how much I work in the cage, it doesn't matter how good my swing looks, it doesn't matter how good my BP is. If I don't do it in a game, none of it matters. And so what needs to happen in order for me to be successful, and what matters is I have to do what it takes, period.
Yeah.
So if that means I have to take 1,000 more swings, I take 1,000 more swings. If I have to change my swing, then I need to change my swing. If I need to have a totally different approach, if I need to stand on my head to hit 400, I'll stand on my head. Are you willing to do what it takes, knowing that you may not know what it takes to be successful? And to make that leap, because you may not know what the next step looks like. If you understand that and you're like, cool, I am willing to do what it takes, it opens up a whole different ballgame in this whole business, in the game of business.
I love that.
And so then you realize, cool, I will do what it takes, meaning that if I have to make 1,000 phone calls today because of all the leads that I've got, I'll make 1,000 calls. If I have to reach out to someone 3 times a day to get them in the door, cool. If I have to ask the hard question in a sales appointment to influence them, so I take someone who's 40 pounds overweight, pre-diabetic, has 2 kids, can't play with them, and I have to ask the hard question that she may cry about to change her life, extend her time frame, and change an entire generation, I'm gonna do what it takes. If I am a leader and I have a team that's leaving and I realize I'm not the leader that I should be, I'm gonna do what it takes, and I'm gonna be humble, I'm gonna set my ego aside, and I'm gonna do what it takes to improve as a leader so that I can inspire people around me and allow them to grow this team, this organization, and impact more lives.
100%
Right?
agree.
And it's like, you have to do what it takes, and what it takes depends on where you're at, but what it takes is always more than what you think, always.
Another parallel for fitness, right?
Always. That's it, going back to fitness.
That coach knows. That person, they want to get chiseled abs. They want to get to the point where they could be on a stage if they want to get there. You can't just kind of do it. You got to do what it takes. You know, a really cool story I heard a couple weeks back. I'm a big Kobe fan, Kobe Bryant. I just love his attitude. And Allen Iverson was in an interview. And Allen Iverson was telling a Kobe story, which there's hundreds of them,
Yes.
which is great.
Oh, yeah.
All of them revolve around him doing what it takes. He was talking about how he was in a season with Kobe, with the Sixers. They went to LA, which a lot of NBA teams like going to LA because after the game's over, they like partying.
Yep.
So him and Kobe they actually started together. They started the same year and everything.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they were drafted the same year.
Interesting. Okay. That's a great draft class.
And Kobe hated his rookie year because Iverson was like a phenom, and Kobe rode bench the whole year.
Yeah.
So he said he couldn't stand it, right? But a few years in, they're playing, they're battling, they're both recognized now as great players. And the game was over, and Kobe and Allen hung out. They went to dinner or something like that. And afterwards, he's like, hey, I'm going to go to this club. And Kobe was like, oh, cool. So he drove him to the club. And then he goes, you're not going to come in? He's like, no. He's like, well, where are you going to go? He's like, I'm going to the gym. And he goes, I felt so bad going to the club.
Yes.
And this guy's going to the gym. I was like, go to the gym now? We just played. He's like, yeah, man, I got to do what I got to do.
You're going to do what it takes.
And then he goes, man, so he goes, do you think he took it too seriously, though? And he goes, he beat me in the finals that year.
That's it.
That was the year he beat him in the finals. So they were going to face each other that same year. And imagine if they switched. Iverson went to the gym and Kobe went to the club.
Yep.
Would that have made an impact?
It's crazy, man. So who's the guy? I don't know his name. I'm not really a big basketball guy, but Duke. He was a guy that was a great player. I believe he was like a point guard, three-point shooter, set records. Is it J.J. Redick?
J.J. Redick.
I think it was
I know J.J. Redick was a great three-point shooter.
He won a national championship, so it might have been him. Either way, I think he's an analyst now. He's like an announcer.
J.J. Redick.
Yeah, I think it's J.J. Redick. I saw a clip about him talking about Coach K. And he said his freshman year he went in, and they did really well. Sophomore year they go in, and he let himself go. Right? He listened to all the hype. Right? It's Duke basketball. I'm the best player. I'm balling out. All this stuff. And he's not in the best shape. He's not doing all this stuff. And they go in, and they don't win a national championship, right? They don't make it. They get to the playoffs, they lose. And he has this exit, I think he talks about where he has this exit interview in a sense for the season with Coach K. And he said, Coach K told me one thing that I will never forget and stuck with me and was the hardest thing I ever had to hear, but I had to hear it. He said, you were not worthy of being a champion this year. And you were not worthy because you didn't do what it takes to be a champion, which is why you're not a champion. And it's like, I think about that for gym owners, and I think about that for myself, and I think about that for my kids, and it's like, you have to prove yourself worthy to do that. And that starts with the brilliant work, right, that you have to do every day. And it starts with the little things that you have to say no and yes to on a daily basis. And it all adds up over time. And you have to prove yourself worthy, and the only way to do that is to do what it takes.
Yeah, I've said it to my team before, where we scaled, and you know, because you've been a part of this growth too, managing 8 people is very different than managing 25 people. It's very different than managing 40, 50 people, right? Because now you have layers of management. And so the CEO that you have to be at 8 is not the same CEO you have to be at 50.
Nope.
It's a totally different thing. And so I remember telling people like, yeah, you know, I've got to get some coaching down certain areas because I'm not good enough to be a CEO of a $10 million company or a $30 million company. And I remember somebody coddling me. And they were like, what are you talking about? You're good. You did this. You did that. You'll figure it out. And I go, well, don't coddle me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with not being good enough.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm aware of it. My goal is to be good enough. I got to go to the people that have got the information.
That's it.
And that have failed all the failures I'm going to inevitably have, because I'm going to get there regardless. I'm going to be successful regardless, whether I fail or whether I learn from someone else's.
It's just how fast you're going to get there.
It's how fast I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
You know, a really cool thing that I heard once, you know, there's dumb people, there's smart people, and there's geniuses. Dumb people make mistakes and keep making them. Smart people make mistakes and they don't make them anymore. Geniuses learn from other people's mistakes and they avoid as many of them as possible.
That's it.
And so there's a quote or a phrase that I'll say, because my son knows that quote. I've told him 100 times. He's 15 right now. So a lot of times, you know, throughout our week or throughout the month, he'll say, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this, or I'm going to do this. And I'll say, Okay. And he'll go, why? Would you not do that? You do what you want to do. It's up to you.
Yeah.
What would you do? I would do this. I don't know. I still want to do this. It's okay. Go be smart. There's nothing wrong with smart. And he knows what that means. That means I already know it's a mistake.
Yes.
He knows I know it's a mistake.
Yep.
And he knows that he's going to learn from the mistake, but he's going to make the mistake.
Yep.
And so I said that to a couple of our gym owners too, talking to them. Like,
That's great.
when they're like, I don't know, I think I should do that. That's great, man. Go do it. Go be smart. There's nothing wrong with smart. Nothing wrong with smart.
I'm going to steal that. I love that. I love it.
It's a good question for your kids as a dad. How old your oldest?
6.
Yeah. Go be smart.
Yep.
Hey, man, go be smart. There's nothing wrong with smart. Imagine telling someone to go be smart, and that's kind of a side insult.
Dude, that's huge. I'm 100% going to steal that.
Yeah. But, you know, if I invest a lot in coaching for me and my team. Yeah, we worked with a facilitator and a coach yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I think my team and I think we're all smart enough to get to where we want to go. Mm-hmm. And we'll make the same mistakes that everyone else made. But damn, like, speed is really, it's valuable.
It's king.
Why wait till 50 when I can have it at 40?
Why? So it's costing for a gym owner right now. If you don't know how to make $1 million a year in your business, it's costing you $1 million a year.
Every year you don't have it.
So that's the thing that people don't understand. It's costing you $1 million.
You're paying for it anyway.
That's it. You're paying for it.
Yeah.
You just don't see it right now.
Yeah. That's the thing. Do you think, now there's different people, mm-hmm. but the overwhelming majority are less motivated by bonuses than a loss.
Yeah.
So if you were to say to the average person, hey man, if you get this done, I'll give you a $300 bonus. That's not as motivating as, hey, if you don't get this done, I'll take $300 from your paycheck.
Yeah, it's massive. Fear of loss is huge.
Fear of loss is bigger.
Yes.
Right? And so...
Well, here's an interesting, if you want to flip that on its head then, cool. If you don't do these things, your gym will shut down.
Yeah.
Right? Because most gym owners, the majority of gym owners, are just barely making it by.
Yeah.
The average gym owner is 1 to 2 months away from being shut down. We saw this during, I will not even say the word, because at gym launch, we don't even say the word anymore. Yeah. If a gym owner brings it up, we're like, you cannot use that excuse anymore. Like, that's gone. But during the time period of 2020 and 2021, we saw that. Gym owners were 1 to 2 months away, and they couldn't make it happen because of the fact that either certain aspects maybe outside of their control, but also pieces where they did not pivot, or they didn't have the cash flow available, and they didn't have the skill sets there that they needed in order to be successful.
Right.
Right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's fascinating just to go through that entire process.
I think we talked about it on your podcast, but I can't remember because I think it was on 2 that week. It was about bowling with the bumpers on.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, we did talk about that. Yep.
If you know how to bowl, you don't need the bumpers.
Don't need them.
You're going to get your strikes.
Yep.
If you don't know how to bowl, you need bumpers in order to hit pins. And if you don't have the bumpers, you're in the gutter. In 2019, those bumpers were up for everybody.
Always.
2019 was great.
Amazing.
I don't think people realize how long the economy was good for.
Insane.
It was. I haven't been alive for it being that good for that long.
And it was crazy in early 2020.
Yeah.
Like, it was popping off in January and February, and like, we were sitting back as a business looking at what our gym owners were doing. We were like, this is fantastic.
And even when March and April hit,
I know.
leads were like 18 cents.
we were getting shows for like $9 a show. And
it was insane.
It was crazy.
But what happened was the bumpers came down. And all those people that you and we've been preaching, you've got to get the fundamentals down. You've got to stop being a fitness guy. You got to start being a business guy. You got to start realizing that you own a business. You got a responsibility to learn the game of business.
Yep.
Once the bumpers came down, we knew who really knew how to bowl.
Yep.
Because there were some people out there that were like, dude, I'm stacking right now. And they were ready. And by the time tell me you don't have it, we have it. People are having their best months ever this year.
Oh, yeah.
Like record months. Even last year, a good portion of last year, having like literally their best months. A lot of people outperformed 2019 and 2021.
Well, it's crazy. We had gym owners in 2020, later on in 2020, that were having their best months ever.
Imagine that.
Because they were willing to pivot and do what it takes and do the little things to make it happen, but they were actually willing to do that. And a lot of them also, gym owners that will hear that, they'll be like, yeah, but they had this, this, and this. Like, what they don't see is how many times they got punched in the mouth learning a new process of switching from in-person sales to phone sales. Yeah. Right? And the 500 calls that they took for weeks on end.
There's a negative way of thinking. And, I remember hearing this before too, but somebody said, with negative people have got this wrong mindset, the non-winners mindset.
Yeah.
The non-winners mindset. when they do something good, when they accomplish something, it's because I put the work in. When something bad happens to them, it's because something externally got in the way. Now, that same person, when something good happens to somebody else, oh, that's just because something externally got there. When something bad happens, yeah, because they didn't put in the work.
Exactly.
Isn't that interesting?
It's crazy, man.
How they...
It's amazing.
So just understanding having the right perspective, having the right mindset is so important, because you open yourself up to all the solutions.
Yeah.
And one thing we say here at Loud Rumor 2 with our team is, hey, look, man, optimists, positive people, winners, they have a solution for every problem, or they'll find one.
Yeah.
Losers, they have a problem for every solution. You got a solution? Here, we can just do this. Yeah, but then this happens. Yeah, but we could do this. People aren't going to like that. And it's like, dude, okay, so what do you want at this point, right? And so just, I think, making that aware, because I think there's a lot of people that are winners that have just been, society's helped them become losers easier.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And if they can just strip away some of these like little layers that have just kind of sat on them and just get that perspective, man, there's some, and I've seen it. You've probably seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was a pretty negative guy up until like 23, 24, 25 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
I was limiting beliefs out the wazoo.
You too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, totally changed when I came into the gym launch kind of sphere. Everything changed completely. Mindset, everything. And it's just been a constant, it's just been a steady growth period of that. That's what it takes.
What you put in your body is what your body ends up being. What you put in your mind is what your mind ends up being.
That's it.
You put yourself around the right people, easy.
You can do it.
Put yourself around the wrong people, wrong information.
And are willing to do that. It's interesting, you were talking about like winners and stuff like this. We, at Gym Launch, so I just did a leadership training for our staff, because we as a team are moving into a different era of Gym Launch, right? We were acquired by a private equity company. We are looking to do incredible things and work with so many different people inside the fitness industry and do some really cool stuff. And what got us, you mentioned this about a CEO with 8 people, what got you to 8 people is not going to get you to 40. What got us to where we are now is not what's going to get us to where we want to go. And I gave them the examples of like 8, 9s, and 10s. So in the book, What It Takes, Stephen Schwarzman, the founder of, I believe it's Blackstone. So it's the largest alternative asset management company. Yeah, and say what you want about him as a personal individual, and like, yes, he's wealthy, he flaunts it, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he talks about in his book where his scale, most people are like, yeah, 1 to 10. His scale starts at 8. And he doesn't hire 8s. He only hires 9s and 10s. And his 8s are people that can do what you tell them well. And here's the thing that's, I think, is really interesting, and this goes back to gym owners and business owners need to lower their level of tolerance for anything that is less than exceptional. Because you're in a position where I need to make a hire, I need to have this person, and I can make so many excuses about this individual, but like they can do this one thing to take it off my plate, but there literally could be the worst hire you ever make. But because you're tired and you're upset or you're stressed in your business and overwhelmed, you're gonna make this hire. Going back to this though with our team is like, in order for us to be successful, we need a team of 9s and 10s, because 9s and 10s don't wanna work with 8s. Because 8s are individuals that do what they're told, and they can do it well, but they clock in, they're great teammates, but they're not gonna be anything too crazy. A good example of this would be, do you watch Yellowstone?
No, I've been told to.
Dude, you should, man. So there's a guy, his name is Lloyd on Yellowstone. So he's one of the older guys, he's been there for a while, and he's just that dependable person. And like sometimes in business you need someone like that. However, 9s and 10s aren't gonna be those individuals. So in Yellowstone, Lloyd is that guy. And I use this example with our team. A 9 is someone who can do all of those things. They're exceptional individual contributors. They work well with their teams. They are great leaders. They can grow other leaders. They can spot trends, and they can, you know, help make it happen, and they can start to own pieces of that. That's a 9, right? A 9 on Yellowstone would be Rip, this guy named Rip. And so if you watch Yellowstone, I don't know if you watch Yellowstone, but like Rip is like the guy, and he can also spot trends, and he can see things, and he can do things on his own and take ownership for that, and he can do it. But he also will follow what is told to him.
You agree with that, McKenna?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so then a 10, right? A 10, the difference between a 9 and a 10 is that a 10 is always gonna make it rain. Whatever they do, they will do what it takes, They can do all the things that an 8-9 can do, but they will always make it rain, meaning they will see the things that people can't see because they're so focused on what's happening in the business, but they also have the ability to step outside and see the entire landscape of what's happening. They can spot trends, make changes, improve entire processes, also change the direction of a department or implement new processes without being told, and implement those successfully. Not just, hey, I'm gonna test this and it fails. They can do it successfully, right? Now 10 is like a John Dutton, who's like the main guy in Yellowstone. Like he can see it, he can spot trends.
Yep.
He's a 10. He makes it rain, right? If you were thinking, you watch Billions?
No.
Okay. Oh, dude, you got those 2 shows.
I
know you're busy.
I gotta catch up.
Yeah.
No. I watch TV. I just haven't watched those.
Billions.
Okay.
Favorite show.
Billions.
So Billions would be like, old school Billions would be like the main guy, actual Rod. Like that's him. The new guy is Mike Prince. And he's this billionaire, and whatever he sets his mind to, he makes it rain in everything that he does. And so like, I drew those comparisons for our team because at the end of the day, if we lower our level of tolerance as a team, and we expect nothing but excellence, and we decide as a team, together, that we will raise the minimum bar as a 9, what do you think we'll be able to accomplish?
Yeah.
Because what we're trying to accomplish as a company, it requires 9s and 10s. We will not come close to accomplishing what we want to with 8s.
Right.
And I don't think anybody here wants to be an ordinary company full of 8s.
Agreed. You know what, the tough thing with that, this is something that I think all of our leaders, it's good for them to know and us to be reminded of. We naturally, we're probably leaders because we really do care about people.
Yeah.
And we really do want people to be successful. And we actually get excited. Like if we found out like one of our people on our team had 5 big wins this year, we would rather have 4 and they have 5 than us have 5 and they have 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But selflessness can sometimes be disguised as selfishness.
Yes.
And vice versa. If, let's say, McKenna has somebody that she doesn't believe is going to make it, but she keeps him around because she feels bad. She likes the guy. He's been great. He's such a believer in what we do. If she doesn't fire him when she should fire him, she's being selfish. But it seems like selflessness. But the truth is, she doesn't want to have that conversation. She prefers to not have, because it's too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if he quit the next day, she'd be relieved. Same person.
Absolutely.
Which means you want that. You know it's the right thing to do. You know it's better, but you, seemingly selflessly, but selfishly, don't want to go through that right now.
And the thing with that too is that if you're in that situation, right, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have been in that situation where you have an employee that you don't want there. They're not hitting the standards that you have set, but you feel bad. We've all been in that situation. Something to change the mindset on this is that this person knows that they're not being successful.
If you're tracking.
Yeah, it's if you're tracking and you're doing what a normal human being would do, right? And you're setting the right standard, right? They're gonna know that they're not up to par. Like if I walk out on a baseball field, it takes me 5 minutes and I'm gonna know where I stand. Right? I know exactly where I stand. I'm going to be best one, second, mid, bottom tier. I'm going to know exactly what's happening.
And you know who the best one is.
And you know.
And you know who probably should be cut.
And you know what that looks like.
Right.
Right? And if I know that I'm not reaching that, what's happening is if you think about it this way, instead of being like, it's uncomfortable and all this stuff, you are actually doing that person a disservice by keeping them in a role that they're not going to be successful at. That person would most likely be better suited. They could make, and if you're like, oh, they need to make money, they could go drive Uber and make money.
Yeah.
And they might be better suited.
The market's
at Uber.
good out there.
There's tons of jobs. They could go get paid $15 to $18 an hour doing customer service for Amazon from home. Like maybe they're better suited for that, right? We all have columns of genius, and we all have areas in our lives where we can be exceptional at, and that's all. It varies between different people. So keeping someone in a job where they don't have what it takes, and they're not going to be successful, you're doing them a massive disservice.
Have you ever had this where like you were going to let someone go and they quit before you let them go, and you were just like, thank God.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I would be a robot if I didn't say that, but like, yeah, I truly care about them, and you do as well, and I think everyone does.
Yeah, I think anybody that's in a leadership position in a good company has that heart. But so yeah, we could spend a whole ton of time on this type of stuff. I want to touch on one last topic before we head out, because then you and I are going to get some lunch, and I'm starving.
Dude, I'm so hungry.
I came from the gym.
I haven't had breakfast, so let's go.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, you look like you always eat. All right.
Maybe that's
in
a
a
problem.
good way. In a good way. In a good way. All right. So you work very, very well with your spouse. In this industry that we work in, there's a lot of marriages
Yeah.
and leaders running their company, right? Where it's a husband-wife team, and that can be really challenging. Now, you and Maggie, you both are leaders in the organization.
Yeah.
And when I asked you how do you guys work together, you said exceptionally well.
Yes.
Okay. Walk me through why you believe that is and why you believe some people struggle here.
Yeah. So we learned early on, and this helps a lot because we were in a community and we learned from Alex and Leila, and I got to learn from other people, individuals. But Alex and Leila had a major impact watching how they did it and realizing what we needed to do. We clearly defined our roles from pretty much the very beginning. And there was complete trust because we were both in a stage where we were both learning new skill sets. And so we didn't come in with egos. We're on the same team, we're rowing in the same direction, and I trust this person next to me to do what they need to do. So there's two aspects to it. There's the business aspect, and then there's the relationship, personal relationship. I'm fortunate enough where my wife is my best friend. I could never talk to another soul the rest of my life, and I would be happy to do that. She's the only person in my entire life, including my family, that I love spending every day with. I can't handle 3 days with anybody else. Like I can't do it. Like
that is true. It's when you think about most people, it's hard to have 3 straight days with somebody outside your spouse.
I can't even do it. Not even with my family, right? And they know that, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So, but from a business standpoint, we clearly defined what our roles were, and we didn't cross the line. And there was no finger pointing. There was never any blaming. It was always solution based. And so when we started in our gym, it was she was going to handle the operations, meaning the management, the administrative aspects of it, and making sure that the clients had a great experience. My job and where my skill set was, and that was her skill set. So I aligned it to where a place where she can be successful. She aligned it. We were together in making that decision. My skill set was marketing and sales and teaching our coaches how to create better experiences for people. And so that's what I did. And we didn't cross paths. And so we worked together across the entire thing. And then when we joined Gym Launch, when she joined Gym Launch, she was actually on the Prestige Lab side. So she came in with Prestige Labs, didn't do anything on the Gym Launch side. And I was on the Gym Launch side. So we were technically on different sides, but we were both on the leadership team.
Right.
Even though she leapfrogged me, she'll say that all the time until I die. She'll be like, yeah, I came in at a higher position than you, and it's cool. She came in as a director, I was a coaching manager at the time. But from there, we've always had the ability to really understand when we're talking to each other, when it is a work conversation and when it is a husband-wife conversation. And I will literally say, and she will do the exact same thing, I'll do a hand motion where I will tell her we'll be looking, and we have to have a hard conversation, an uncomfortable conversation that most husbands and wives don't want to have, or maybe don't want to do because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. I will literally just do this. I'll be like, hey, this is a CEO to VP of operations conversation. Are you ready? And then she'll be like, yep. And then I will say exactly what I need to say in the way that I need to say it. I will be graceful. I will not be mean or demeaning. I will do it with respect and dignity. And then it'll be like, cool, we're good. Or if it's like a husband-wife conversation, be like, hey, as your husband, and I'll literally just do this. It's like putting on the hat or just, hey, setting the stage. I'm your husband talking to my wife. This is what needs to happen, right? The other piece too that's really important, and I don't believe most people do this, is there's this whole term around successful relationships, and people throw this word out, and I don't really think they know what it means tactically, and that is communication is the key to success, right? Communication. You need to have communication.
Most people aren't really good at it.
They're horrible because they don't know how, right? And I think it comes back to just like any other relationship, sales, fitness, doesn't matter. You have to set clear expectations for the other person. And so what we did is we used what we call cheat codes. And so what we did, and we learned this from Alex and Leila, we sat down and we will sit down and write out. And this is a no holds barred conversation where we will sit down, each with a piece of paper, and we will write down the things that we need from our spouse in order to feel loved. And again, no holds barred. You could say anything, right? And then we'll be like, cool, these are the things that I need. And so I know the reason it's a cheat code is I'm not sitting here having to guess and try to read your mind to understand what makes you feel loved or what makes you happy, right? I know exactly what I need to do. And so one of her things, it's a stupid example, but she's like, I never want to touch the trash. you take out the trash. And I'm like, that's it? She's like, there's other things, but she's like, yeah, I don't want to touch the trash. I'm like, okay. Like,
That's an easy one.
That's so easy, right?
Yeah.
But how many times the husbands and wives have this fight where it's like, the wife's like, you're not doing this stuff around here. Like, why don't you ever just take out the trash? And he's like, I don't know. Like,
And you feel like it represents 20 things.
right? And and what happens is it stacks on each other.
Right.
So those little things, those little pebbles start to add up, and it becomes a boulder. And then people look back 10 years later after all these little pebbles, and they got this massive boulder, and you can't go past the boulder.
Right.
It's in your way. There's no way around it. And so the only way to do it is either crack it down into the little pebbles again, or just decide to go a different route, and that's where people split.
Right.
And so for us, we made the commitment to each other that we would always clearly communicate and set the expectations for each other. And so we still do this quarterly. We take trips. Well, another thing that we do is we date night every week. It is mandatory. It is I put my wife before my kids,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And so that's different for a lot of people, but like in order for me to be, and my wife to be successful not only as a wife and a mom and as a VP of operations for 2 8-figure companies, we have to be right.
Yeah.
And so we will do that first. And then I also want to set an example for my kids, which is what my parents did for me, that my dad every day when he walked in from work, he would walk in, give us a hug and say, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And he would walk into the room with my mom and they would debrief on the day. And then he would come back out and play with us. But it proved to me every day from the age of 9 years old when I could remember it and I realized it, that my mom came first for him. And when they were good, everything else was good. And so
That's really cool.
we do that and we live that out on a daily basis.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
it
really
is.
cool. We work on our marriage stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But I talk about it a lot in the podcast, so I'm going to skip it and let you be the one that does it
I
today. Because
love it.
obviously that was good. I mean, maybe we can learn from that all the time. So
I love it.
I've had a great conversation with you. I'm
been
excited for lunch because now I get to do it while not being hungry.
I know,
So
dude.
that's going to be
I
great.
know.
So thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to get off your chest here while we're on the show?
No, man, I just really appreciate what you're doing for the industry. I appreciate like knowing you, getting to know you. I know this doesn't even have to be public, but just like I love all these conversations we've been having, getting to know each other, man. This is a blast.
I agree. Feelings mutual, man.
Dude, it's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
For everybody
brother.
watching and listening, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.